First up, identity and access. Seriously, this is the bedrock of all cloud security. Before you can protect a single thing, you have to control who and what can touch your resources. And there is one single philosophy guiding every single decision here, something you're going to see again and again on the exam.
And that idea is the principle of least privilege. This isn't just some fancy term, it's a powerful mindset you have to adopt. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't give a janitor the master key to the whole building if they just need to get into the supply closet, right? No, you give them only the key they need. In the cloud, this simple concept prevents a huge number of potential security breaches.
And this right here, this is a perfect example of a common trap. When you spin up a new project, Google hands you a default service account with super broad editor permissions. Sure, it's convenient, but it's basically like leaving that master key under the doormat. The professional approach, and what the exam is really looking for, is for you to create dedicated service accounts with surgical precision, giving them only the specific roles they need. That's the principle of least privilege in action.
Just look at this example. Their Cloud Run service account doesn't have general access. No way. It has exactly 2 permissions, one to talk to the database and one to get secrets. That's it. Full stop. You have to remember this for the exam. Your answers should always reflect this laser focus on giving out the absolute minimum permissions necessary.
Okay, so we figured out who has access. Now let's talk about where they can access it from. It's time to build the walls of our fortress, protecting the boundaries of our network and data. This is all about creating layers of defense, and we'll start with how users actually connect.
This is where Identity-Aware Proxy, or IAP, comes into play. You can think of it like a modern, super intelligent bouncer for your applications. See, unlike a traditional VPN, which kind of trusts anyone once they're on the network, IAP works on a zero-trust model. That means it assumes every single connection is hostile until it's proven otherwise. It trusts no one by default. So what IAP does is it puts Google's powerful identity verification system right at the front door of your app. Before it lets anyone in, it doesn't just check who they are, but also their context, like what device are they using, where are they logging in from. For the exam, just remember this. IAP is the modern, secure way to manage user access, and it's here to replace those clunky, outdated VPNs. But what if a threat does get past your defenses? How do you stop an attacker from just walking out the back door with all of your valuable data? Well, that is the critical job of VPC Service Controls. It lets you create a trusted boundary around your Google Cloud projects and services, and it acts as that absolute last line of defense.
I love this analogy. It's so perfect. VPC Service Controls is literally like a digital fence. Even if a service account inside your project gets compromised, this fence stops it from sending data to, say, a public cloud storage bucket outside your organization. So on the exam, whenever you see a question about preventing data exfiltration, especially for regulated industries like healthcare or finance, your mind should immediately jump to VPC Service Controls.
Now, our final perimeter defense isn't about networks at all. It's about your code itself. Binary authorization is all about protecting your software supply chain. Just imagine a scenario where some bad actor injects malicious code into one of your container images. Well, binary authorization acts as a gatekeeper, and it makes sure that only images you have explicitly verified and digitally signed are ever allowed to run. It's an absolutely crucial control for stopping supply chain attacks. So, we've built our foundation. Now it's time to add those advanced architectural pieces that really separate a good design from a great one. Nailing these next few concepts is what's going to make your exam performance stand out and prove you're really thinking like a true cloud architect. All right, here's your advanced study list. First, Customer Managed Encryption Keys, or CMAC. This is for when you have to prove that you hold the keys to your own data. Second, Organization Policies, which are like security guardrails for your entire cloud environment. Third, Service Account Impersonation, a super secure way to grant temporary, elevated privileges without just handing over permanent keys. And finally, Workload Identity Federation, for securely connecting from outside Google Cloud without messing with service account keys. These are complex, so make sure you really dig into each one.
Now, a really common point of confusion, and something that's very likely to pop up on the exam, is the difference between these 2 types of firewalls. And honestly, it all comes down to scope. Hierarchical firewall policies are set way up at the organization or folder level. Think of these as your company-wide security rules. VPC firewall rules, on the other hand, are applied down at a specific network inside a single project for more granular control. The exam will definitely test if you know which tool to use based on the required scope.
Look, building a secure architecture is one thing, but proving it's secure and compliant, that's a completely different challenge. And this is where automation becomes your absolute best friend, especially when the auditors come knocking on your door.
Google Cloud's main tool for this is Security Command Center, or SCC. You're going to want to know this one. Think of it as your security control tower. It gives you one central place to see your entire environment, and it's constantly scanning for vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, and threats, and then gives you a prioritized list of what you need to fix.
But here's where SCC gets really powerful for compliance. It does more than just find problems. It takes those findings and automatically maps them to the specific controls required by major standards like SOC 2 or PCI DSS. This is a massive, massive time saver for any audit because it's essentially generating your compliance evidence for you.
This quote really highlights the real-world value. I mean, imagine you're prepping for a PCI DSS audit. Instead of spending weeks manually checking every single resource, you can just use SCC to generate a report that proves all your storage buckets are private and your service accounts have minimal permissions. And each finding is tied directly to the relevant PCI control. It completely transforms the audit process from a painful manual slog into an automated report.
Okay, to wrap things up, let's quickly cover a few final essential checkpoints for compliance. These are the kinds of details that can really make or break your design when you're dealing with specific regulations and the scrutiny of an audit.
Okay, understanding cloud audit logs is absolutely non-negotiable. Admin activity logs, the ones that track things like creating a VM, they're on by default. But, and this is key, data access logs, the ones that track who read what data from a database, are not. You have to go in and enable them explicitly. You have to know this distinction for the exam. It's a classic trap they like to set.
And finally, just make sure these three concepts are on your radar. Data residency, that's all about where your data is physically stored, which is critical for rules like GDPR. Assured workloads, which is a way to enforce compliance for really sensitive government or commercial workloads. And the Cloud Data Loss Prevention API, a super powerful tool for automatically finding and redacting sensitive info like credit card numbers.
So let's just boil this all down. What are the big takeaways? 1. Least privilege is your North Star for everything IAM. 2. Use VPC service controls as your digital fence against data theft. 3. Know the scope. Hierarchical firewalls for the big, broad rules and VPC firewalls for granular control. And 4. Make your life easier and automate compliance with Security Command Center.
We've covered a ton of ground here, from identity all the way to automated audits. Remember, security is all about building those layers of defense. So now that you have a better handle on the tools for each layer, just take a second and think about your own projects or your study plan. Which security layer are you going to go and strengthen first? Thanks for digging into this with me.